stuck on the ABBA album to the East Coast, so I was truly going insane. All right, so we should get going. Got a busy day ahead. Folks, you're attending the first production. Are we ready? Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Harry Brailsford from SMB Nation and involved with the Pocket MBA program. So how many Pocket MBA students are in here, please? We should have a handful of you that are attending the first live lecture. What we're trying to do, I can go on and on and on about the Pocket MBA, but better yet, just come by my booth. Come by my booth and chat it up with me during the trade show hall hours so we can get to the content of it. But a couple of comments up front. This is actually our third year of the Pocket MBA program. With the first 2 years, we housed it inside of Aspen University, an online college where I was the Dean of Technology in the grad school. And then it just seemed to be a right size to bring it on back home and quite frankly, do some things we couldn't do at Aspen University in terms of the curriculum and the delivery. What this weekend's intended to be, and we're gonna do it again at the spring show in Microsoft Redmond, that's the third week of February, we'll be announcing that. We're gonna do it again next fall. We've announced that as October 10th, 12th next year, but we're trying to create what you see in the local paper oftentimes as an advertisement for the Executive MBA program. So the University of Washington has an Executive MBA program where people who have more experience, they have that not only life experience, but professional experience, they would rather go through the Executive MBA program than the traditional MBA program that may not make as much sense at mid-stage of your career or later. And it's typically you meet on occasional Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So it's really cool. And so that's what we've created here. Just again, a little housekeeping up front that all of the instructors are here. And I encourage you to hang with Josh Peterson, with Carl Palachek, with Tom Poole. My door is open, absolutely, and so on. There's a real value add. So let's just jump right into it. We have a couple of exercises. Introductions, we had the Pocket MBAs raise their hands. Thank you very much. Again, the instructors are here, and then myself. And what I want to emphasize is the pragmatic delivery of this MBA program that I refuse. I refuse to do this stand and deliver lecture thing one-to-many. That's traditional education. I really have created the program, and it's my own teaching style, to be more guide by the side. So I'm not claiming that I don't necessarily, I may or may not know more than you. That's not the point. The point is to kind of work within a framework where we work together as a team. In the free book, come on by the booth and get our success team books. That's the premise of the Pocket MBA program is we form these little peer groups, we call them success teams, and you work together on the case studies and solve the problems and have the interaction, the diversity and the growth and so on of working with people from different cultures and geographies and backgrounds. So it's really guide by the side, and you'll see that in this lecture. Okay, we have a couple of exercises. The agenda is this. Going to make a few comments up front about education itself. We're going to do the no-page business plan is an exercise real quick. It'll be an abbreviation of it. We'll talk about SWOT analysis, and then we'll talk about what I call gifts differing in the different assessment tools. So we'll talk about Myers-Briggs, which I have great familiarity with. We'll talk about DISC, and what I've done, this is what's really cool about the SMB 150 list we created, as well as our events model, is I can call on subject matter experts. And to me, that was always the sign of a good college, right? Why would you go to a private university versus a state university? Why would you go to an East Coast college versus back home, the University of Alaska? Well, there's several reasons, but one of it is, my dad said it best. He got his law degree at William and Mary in Washington, D.C., and he said, the guest speakers are the people who make the laws. It's great to get your law degree in Washington, D.C. That's where they make the laws. To some extent, we get a little leverage with that at the University of Washington with our tech community, and certainly Stanford and the other colleges down in the Bay Area highly leverage up the tech community there and then the startups and so on. So you get the point. It does make a difference. So Alex Rogers, who's Mr. DISC, is going to come up in a little while and talk to us about that method. And then I'm going to talk to you about SalesMax, a tool that we use extensively. And then a couple of strategic questions that I'll probably ask in a condescending, arrogant, Socratic method that will make you feel devalued, angry. No, I had that professor. But I'd like to have sort of an inclusive conversation where, again, I don't want to lecture for an hour. I want to have a conversation with you. There's one of our instructors, Carl Palachek. Carl, raise your hand, sir.
Hi, y'all.
Hearing good things about the pre-day yesterday, by the way. Good job, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Okay, the world's oldest profession, and I'm not talking about that category on Craigslist, okay? I'm talking about that category that was stopped. If you go back to Aristotle and Socrates and so on, I mean, I really do think education is the world's oldest profession, and it's time proven. Now, what's interesting is when I say traditional MBAs probably hate this guy, you know, I got my MBA. I had the opportunity. I lived with my girlfriend at the time, and I was faced with at 22 going home to Alaska or staying in grad school so I could live with her, and now she's my wife. So it was a pretty good ROI, pretty good investment, and it beat going home to Alaska, let me tell you. So I did mine early. I have some perspective. I had some debt. I carried some debt out of the University of Denver where the first presidential debate was held a couple weeks ago. And let me tell you, that's a private school, and you know, I understand it's all relative. Nowadays, the debt's much greater for kids, and I'm going to talk about that, but it definitely was a monthly payment in excess of a pretty healthy car payment. What the collegiate system has done a great job is kind of appealing almost in a Freudian or Maslow's hierarchy of needs way to your voids. So you're living vicariously through your children. And they do a great job. Colleges do a great job. That you must send your daughter to a small private East Coast college in order for you to be a good parent, so you feel good about yourself. You must take on $70,000 a year end-to-end in tuition and payments and so on. They've done a fantastic job of that. And I'm not saying any, you know, East Coast colleges are great. The thing is that there's a real adult conversation to have about cost with education. And so what we're trying to do with the Pocket MBA is we designed it to say what's relevant, what's a quick hitter, how can we teach you business fluency in 12 weeks, get ROI, et cetera. And that conversation's coming. I mean, it's already starting in my family with my son at 16, my other son at 14, and there's some real conversations. Would it be better? I'm just putting this out here at a high level. We'll get into the good stuff. Would it be better, Mrs. Brailsford, to send Jeffrey to Shanghai, China, and finance an apartment and just have him be there and be in the groove? Again, if you want to be a lawmaker, go live in Washington, D.C. If you want to be a developer, live in Seattle or the Bay Area, okay? Just be there. It's 9/10 of the law is possession. And have him get an online degree, a 4-year online degree, living in Shanghai, maybe take all that money, get him an apartment, and let him try a startup in China and learn Mandarin. Will he be further ahead in his job interview process, further ahead in mid-career? I submit yes. And so those are the conversations we're going to have is the cost of education is going to spur us to reevaluate what education is. Now, that said, I'm not anti-education. I'm exactly the opposite. Got my master's, taught for 12 years at Seattle Pacific U. We're doing this now. Totally into being a life learner, totally. I just, for some reason, this has been the third rail of American society that we can't talk about the high cost of education. And it's right up there with Medicare. It's right up there with healthcare. I mean, it's right up there with gun control. We can't have a conversation about gun control. We are not allowed to talk about the high cost of it. The talk is coming, and it's coming soon, and you guys know the news stories, and college debt exceeds credit card debt now, and there's a fiscal cliff thing coming in about 3 months. But you have to be a life learner because it's proven the ROI, the direct correlation between being a life learner and education and income is, it's established. You're also in a career where you have to reinvent yourself analytically. With cloud, you know this, you can't turn the tools, you can't turn the screwdriver faster. If going to a 24-hour athletic club would make you a more profitable IT pro because you have more brawn, then that's what we'd be talking about. We'd be talking about our new athletic club franchise that we're opening up for IT pros. But weightlifting isn't going to work with cloud, okay? So you have to engage in the education of your choice. So the no-page business plan. So quick exercise. I promised you we would, we'll pass out as many as I have. If I run out, you get the point, take a piece of paper. But what I want you to do is an exercise for about 3-4 minutes is sketch out your business model. This is how great companies are started. The back of the napkin at lunch in the Silicon Valley down in Palo Alto. What's that street with the old movie theater that's down there? It's cute, right across from Stanford. It's cute. And, oh, you. I'm gonna pick on you. SBSer of the year. And actually, I have a few more napkins. We'll get them kind of going this way and just pass it down the line, and you guys get the point. Did this exercise once with Cisco, right down the street at the Venetian. Cisco invited me to lecture, a 90-minute lecture on business plans alone. And I said, well, let's do a napkin business plan. And I go into the room, and I get an assessment of who the demographic is. No one in what they called SMB, every partner there was over $10 million in revenue. And I was like, this gonna be one of those days. That's just a different conversation than our S demographic. So what I'd like you to do is again, close your eyes, imagine that you're at those little outside patios along, is it California Street? It's escaping me, right down in Palo Alto, that old street with the movie theater and the little quaint restaurants, and the bookstore and so on. This is how it's done. You would sit down and have lunch and say, you know, hey, Ferguson, I've got this great idea, and here's what we're gonna do, and arrows and circles and squares, and map out a new business venture. And I submit for your approval the day of the thick business plan with, as a matter of fact, Palo Alto software is probably, I don't know if I'd use Palo Alto again. You're probably familiar with those templates, right? The SBA, Palo Alto, there's those templates you can buy. They're helpful, but they tend to, in that interview process, you have a thick plan. And most recently, as we evaluated an opportunity, and I'll talk about SWOT analysis and how we evaluate opportunities, I just made a PowerPoint deck. I just made a PowerPoint deck to think about a round of funding with an opportunity that may or may not come to fruition. But it's like, you know what? I don't need no stinking business plan. I mean, I don't need Palo Alto software again. I mean, you do. I mean, you need planning, and of course, but you don't need that 80-page plan. It's really kind of come the other way to PowerPoint slides with narratives, or even the back of the napkin. Deals have gotten funded off the back of the napkin. So I'm gonna ask a couple of people, Michael Mako, is it tomorrow you speak on mobility? Okay, so why don't you give a shout out for your speech, and then tell us about your business plan, because you just did a strategic acquisition, which is kind of different than organic.
Okay. So on the top of my napkin,
Come on up.
on the top of my napkin, from a business standpoint, are acquisitions. So that's primarily how our company goes to get sales and.
Might have to hold the mic a little closer.
That's primarily. I don't think it's working. Can everyone hear me in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. That's primarily how we do drive sales to our company, is through acquisitions. So just recently we acquired Jim Lock's company, ResultWorks Technology Group. Jim Lock was an avid SMB Nation gang member.
Yeah. There you go. Mob. The mob.
Guy. And,
in Vegas.
Everyone kind of knows what happened with that situation. So we acquired that company, and just last Friday we acquired another company, and so it continues to fruition and build our company from acquiring other companies. So it's on the top of my list from the standpoint of the sales plan, and we get salespeople to help out with the acquisition process, because obviously every time you find a company, it's not going to be a fit for your business, but you have to go out and strategically find companies that meet your business model, and then do the best you can to acquire it. So tomorrow, I'm speaking on mobility and where you can go with it and how it's working today. So there's a history component, there's a tech component, and there's a business component to my speech. So thank you, Larry, and
thank you very much. Rayanne, I told folks boy, we're gonna have fun all weekend, I think. with you and Bob Nitrio as the award winners. So why don't you tell us what your view of the world is? I know you're in a sort of a dual capacity in a sort of a technical realm, but also an accountant. Come on up.
Well, my name's Rayanne, and I own a small company called ABC Solutions. It's a lot smaller now because I just sold the majority of my accounting practice last year, because what I wanted to do then was to redefine what ABC Solutions did, and I picked a vertical niche. I work with MSPs and help them grow their business, understand their profitability, and so I've decided to specialize in working with MSPs and IT consultants and working with their accounting systems. So that is how I got it.
Yeah, and what are you seeing in terms of business model trends with the MSPs? You're very active in the community. Are you seeing people pick a niche? Are they going for the broad category? Do they want to be A to Z, everything to everybody in a category? Or do they want to say, I only do trauma centers? That's all I do. If you're not a trauma center, I don't work for you.
Well, it's not possible to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
So you really do need to focus your business on what it is that, one, you're good at, two, you can be profitable at, and three, specialize in it so that everybody knows to come to you because you're the person who knows that piece, whether it's IT, healthcare, or whether it's dentist offices, or whether it's accounting firms, or, you know, pick your niche. What do you specialize in? What do you know best? And that's the only way you're going to be able to survive.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so I'll take two more comments, perhaps from some people we don't know. I kind of, those were set up in advance. So if someone would like to offer up some comments on their napkin, again, I want to foster a guide by the side dialogue, and if no one will raise their hand, I'll pick someone. So who would like to comment on what's going on? Chaff, come on, you have an interesting world out there in telecom. In fact, come on up so we have you on screen. And then I will, in fact, pick someone I do not know.
All right, I've been coming to SMB Nation for a few years now because I'm a master agent in the telecom space. That's where I got started. We support VARs. So VARs, MSPs, we work with. We have 450 across the country. We do that connectivity piece. So what we do, you can't. The only thing that we do, you can't see, right? So the internet, the voice services, the data services, we do all that. So we are an engineer-driven company. We have 10 engineers, and we support our VAR partners in the background, and then we do a revenue share with them. So we've been going for 10 years now. We've grown. It's been a good business. But then we found, you know, on the napkin, there's that pillar of the carrier services. That's our main one. But then we have another one where we started a software development company, strictly, however, to complement, not compete with our partners. So we found our partners, they're getting into this whole cloud thing. Let's use UC as an example. So they go into a customer, and the customer wants that UC platform, love it, want it, and they're ready to ink the deal, but then they say, but our CRM is integrated with that old Avaya box we have here. Can you do that? And they lose the deal. And we saw that happening again and again and again. So we started, find a need and fill it. So we started that company. And that's flourishing now. We're up to 10 full-time programmers, and we're not doing big jobs, right? We're just doing that UC to CRM, that e-commerce to QuickBooks, that kind of integration work. And we're doing it on a subscription basis because the whole CapEx versus OpEx,
like that.
Right? So we're building a library. So we're helping our partners to as those needs come up.
Yep.
Then on top of that, sometimes opportunity strikes at the right time. A lot of you aren't in the communication business, but Windstream bought Paytech. So now we got this monster carrier in the country now. Well, the lead marketing strategist for Paytech was there for 12 years, from cradle to grave. Alston was on the market. And I thought, all right, how about marketing as a service? Mm-hmm. So now we're actually building, in that separate marketing company, we're building campaigns for our partners so that they can go out and choose what campaigns they want. and we're doing that for them, almost a little bit Robin-esque. However, we're doing them and we're managing those. So those are three separate companies, but the pillars all touch each other.
So I can appreciate the portfolio diversification. Now, has that created, actually, I can even ask my second question, cultural challenges, because there's that integration issue between different lines of business that may not be synergistic, and maybe what I'm really asking, we can almost leave that one, but the division between telecom and IT, you and I talked about that last night, the cultural division of trying to merge those two communities.
Yeah, it is interesting, and CompTIA just started a new community to actually bridge that gap, and I'm a coach of that community. And so a couple weeks ago, I was in Orlando at the Channel Partners event, and there was a keynote panel, and he had CDW, Blackbox, and me, and I thought that was a very odd combination with me on the stage with these guys, and these are big publicly traded, multi-billion-dollar companies, and they're saying, they're doing the I'm a little bit better than this guy thing, and we do everything for everybody, and the whole title of this event was Convergence, and how are these telecom guys, who I have to be honest with you, they're very good at the sales end of this business.
They are good. Well, they're called sales agents. They are good.
They're very, very good at it. How are they going to work with the IT community? Because the reality is everything's got an IP address, so that war's been won, right? So how are they all going to work together? So these guys missed that boat. In my opinion, the good news that everything has an IP address to it is now the customer can work with fewer people, right? So fewer throats to choke. This whole convergence is being driven by the customer, not by technology. So they want you, right? And they want you to handle everything for them. That's what the beauty of coming to this event actually is. So we're helping to bridge that gap. I've only worked with VARs and MSPs since the beginning of our company 10 years ago. So it's a community that I'm very comfortable with. However, there's a lot of people in my industry now trying to figure out, how do I work with you guys?
Yeah.
So they're a little bit behind the eight ball, but they're trying to figure that out. So your emails and your, every way to communicate with you, it's going to get blown up over the next 2 to 3 years because they're trying to figure out how to work with you.
There we go. Okay, thank you very much. So let me hear from someone, again, I want to make this interactive, so let me hear from someone I don't know who did the napkin exercise and like to explain their business model. I'm coming over here. You better run. You drew on the napkin.
I'm with Jeff.
Oh, you're with Jeff. Oh, well, that's not fair. Okay. How about you? Oh, you drew on the napkin. Come on up, sir. Name is Jeff Robb. All right, what's your story, sir?
My name's Jeff Robb. This is our first year at SMB Nation. We are a voice VAR.
Okay.
Trying to figure out what to do on getting to the data side. We do a lot of business with nurse call, and it's all gone IP, and we're doing great with that. And the same skill set we've got with that is the same skill set that we need in the data and MSP side. So we're slowly trying to figure it out.
Sure, fair enough. But it sounds like you have a niche, sort of if I heard a healthcare niche.
We do. It's a family company. My father owns the business.
Even better.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. He's had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and he's finally decided he's tired of it, so he's kind of dumped this thing on me.
Cool. All right, well, thanks for sharing and welcome to our conference. Thank you. Okay, so let's move along. SWOT framework. This is one of those funny lectures because people think, oh my God, not another SWOT lecture. I know. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. The opportunities and threats are external factors and can represent, if you have an economics background, you can be thinking of a shift in the supply curve, which is typically driven by a change in technology or net immigration into a country with the labor force. So for example, a shift in the supply curve right now would be the migration or the movement to OpEx cloud-based computing solutions or hybrid solutions. That's dramatically different from CapEx on-prem. So that's both an opportunity and threat. That's an external factor that you can't control. And then an internal factor is your strengths and weaknesses. So what I would give as an example of what we've done at SMB Nation over the last year, and that is Jennifer Hallmark. You've seen at registration, and she's amazing and been with us 6 years, coming up on 7, and give her a hug and meet her. Her daughter is here and her mother is here and so on. But Jennifer's being given increased responsibilities to start to run SMB Nation because she's very detail-oriented and very organized. And now she's getting the experience, right? 6 years with the company, she knows where all the foxholes are. And so she's being tasked with that because just the other day, my colleague was saying, organizational skills don't live within your DNA, Harry. So given that weakness, given that weakness, it makes sense to hire or address it. It's SWOT analysis. I have a weakness. How are we going to fill that with the strength? And I have it in-house, thank goodness, with Jennifer Hallmark. And then it brings up a whole other discussion about opportunities and threats in terms of I'm going to increasingly spend more time each day on the Pocket MBA after 12 years with SMB Nation. And then my colleague Tom Poole, who has a booth on the floor, he's been quite busy, but he's part of our organization. He's going to spend more time with Cloud Nation. So Jennifer is going to take more responsibility for running the mature SMB Nation company, and she's ready to do it. And it's pretty cool. She's 29 years old, so good for her. And if for some reason the day comes where she moves on to a different opportunity or another opportunity or stays home with the kids, you know, I guess it's in our DNA that we did right by her. We wanted to make sure that she had a great looking resume by the age of 30, so when, hey, life happens. If they move to another jurisdiction, the husband's a firefighter, they may move back east, what have you. But we want to do right by Jenny because she's done right by us, so we're giving her a lot of responsibility. That's in the context of a SWOT framework. We just went through it recently to look at one of these opportunities. And again, you can trivialize it that, oh my God, the 4 squares of SWOT analysis. Are you kidding me? We're paying that management consultant $300 an hour for a 1 day on SWOT. You know, take it seriously. Take it seriously. It's a framework. Any questions about SWOT? It's usually pretty self-apparent. In the Pocket MBA class, we'll have a case study on it. So they'll bring it home. I have 60 minutes with you today, so there will be more for the Pocket MBA students. Yes, sir?
What about the discovery process? What about the discovery process? Are you involved in recommending something like ISO or some kind of quality system to actually look and do audits of the company to see what these are?
Good question. So that's actually a sophisticated question about ISO audits and so on. Quite frankly, we're not that sophisticated. Now let me try a different answer. I understand the question, so a different answer would be is that we do use an outside facilitator for this type of analysis. You could say, well, I have an MBA and I can do this and don't have to pay somebody. And Tom has been a management consultant and has done this on a fee basis. But you really need, and Carl, maybe you would agree or disagree, but I think you need that outside view. There are people who are called facilitators. There are people who are called trainers. And I think you need that outside view. Give a shout out on your opinion.
You know, the main thing that I think you can do is find people that you know and trust and create your own little board of directors. You don't have to pay anybody. I get together with a mastermind group of people who are business owners in Sacramento. We get together 1 day a month, and we all spend the entire day talking about each other's businesses. And even though they're in completely different businesses, it's helpful. You know, the guy who owns the dog resort, he can help me with a lot of things regarding marketing in my community. So, you know, find people that you know and trust and ask their advice, especially if they're successful.
It helps. Good correlation there. Go ahead, sir.
One thing that worked really well for me is a peer group. In my last company,
that's right.
We had like 6 businesses, and we traveled to the other peer group members' location and go there and spend 2 or 3 days going to their books and everything. It was quite elaborate. Doesn't have to be that big, but it was very valuable.
That's right. And I saw Carl's Facebook photos from his last mastermind meeting down there on the shores of Lake Tahoe, Carl. So it wasn't all work, but no, that's absolutely right. So you have HGG peer groups, you have Taylor Business Group, SharTech, I believe, has started some peer groups. There's a variety of peer group organizations. Now again, we've taken a little different tack. We have success teams. It's kind of the same with a sunset law, so they expire at the end of your program with us, and then we convert you to our alumni association, which again is one of the key selling points of very expensive private East Coast colleges, is the people you'll meet and the phone calls you can make and get your kid out of jail because you'll know a lawyer who went to Harvard, and that's how colleges sell in. Okay, gifts differing, so we're doing okay on time. I like to call it gifts differing, and it was certainly an evolutionary process for me in my career because did you ever see that commercial of the mid-career manager? I think it's a FedEx commercial, and the young man goes, well, I have an MBA, and the lady, he's in shipping or something, and he's supposed to do a task, and the task is too menial for him. It was a commercial a few years ago, and he's a young, little arrogant guy. Well, I have an MBA. And she said something to the effect of, if you can remember the line, it was something to the effect of, like, I'm sorry to hear that, or I hope you get well soon. It's a good commercial. You get the point. And the point is this, is that, have I matured, have I grown up over the last 20 years after getting out of school at 24 and then starting teaching the next year? And, was I a little arrogant? I suppose I was. And have I grown up? I hope so. I hope my wife believes I have. And where I've landed after some jobs and then starting a company is to have a greater appreciation for gifts differing. Now, that might be a liberal Pacific Northwest concept, I don't know, of which we have one. There's only one more town more liberal than Bainbridge Island, and it's Port Townsend, from where you're from, just north. I don't know, but I hope we're inclusive and I have a more mature view. Basically, you can form a hell of a team if you just have an inkling of tolerance. If you just have some tolerance in your bones, you can put together a hell of a team. And that's what these tests are very, very good at. So Alex, just about 1 minute out till we get to a disc. Myers-Briggs type indicator. So here's the deal. In private conversations I have with you, sometimes over a glass of wine, SMB Nation and the SMB community, we're friends, okay? I mean, for whatever reason, we've formed a community that there's a sense of belonging. You have a glass of wine, this conference is great. You kind of see someone you haven't seen all year. And many times the conversations will kind of migrate into how's the family and how you're doing. And from that, and I could say I've had the same experience. You get married and you have the kids and it just becomes so procedural. Get the kid to soccer and pick them up and take them to band and then to sailing. It's the most overscheduled society I've ever seen. And what will happen is couples will naturally not have the same level of intimacy and romance and connection that they had when they first got married because you're raising the kids. And the risk is this. The risk is when the kids go and you're empty nesters, you don't know each other, right? You don't have a connection anymore with your life partner. And so what will happen is you go into therapy. And let me tell you, Bainbridge Island, that's a whole cottage industry. They love Bainbridge Island couples because they just know at $150 an hour, here they come. And what they'll do is they will do Myers-Briggs type indicator assessments of you as one of the tools. There's all these different tools. And what they'll do is they'll find out that you're different. The two of you have different, Venus, Mars, different styles. So that's where you'll see it, is in therapy. And I've talked to some of you over wine about that. You'll also see it used in business. We had a business coach who used it for us. And it's used typically to at least know who you are. So I am an ENTP. ENTP. So let's talk about that. Extroverted, intuition, thinking, perception. So that means I'm not very good at operations, but I like to have fun. I like creative ideas. I love writing on the back of a napkin. doodling. Oh, I got a great idea today, third one today. ENTP. And I have to learn to be respectful and listen. Definitely got that feedback in my career and my marriage. Need to listen when I'm working with someone over on the other spectrum of Myers-Briggs. Now, would someone like to maybe say what they are if you've been through this? Do you recall what your coding is? Do we have some eyes? Because that's pretty common with, go ahead.
I'm an ENTP too, so
Ah!
now I'm all freaked out.
Yeah, well, we could never be married, so there you go, okay? Yeah, it's not going to work out. Do we have some eyes? And by the way, eyes not bad because you're in a technical capacity. Our industry is full of eyes. That's fine, okay? Guys, it is what it is at this point. The vote's in. So do we have some eyes or people who'd like to publicly identify what their profile is? Well, until you're comfortable doing that, or I'll see you over a glass of wine tonight, what I would tell you is this. Here's my final take on it. And again, in the online course, we go into it and you complete the exercise and so on, so you will know who you are. But what's interesting is we had an employee a couple of years ago. We had a business coach, Bill Bergman, good guy. And he did all this stuff. And we had an employee, and it's not fair to name her name, but I'll give a fake name. Her name was Sue, fake name. And I mean, this is like 8 years ago. And Bill Bergman, who does this, he's like, I can't figure her out. Have you had a coworker like, I can't figure them out. I don't know where they're coming from. I mean, they're amazing, they do good work. It's not about competency in work and showing up. It's not that at all. You cannot tell who they are. And he said, that individual is straight down the center of the Myers-Briggs quadrant. You just straight down the center. And he said, the only other person I've met like that was the lady that runs the Powder Pig Ski School up at Snoqualmie Pass, just straight down the middle. And if you won't take it the wrong way, I'll tell you when I thought of this recently, and again, I'll take a risk here, so please don't be offended, but when I watched the reaction of on CNN of the Sandusky trial and the sentencing this past week, I pegged him as straight down the middle of the Myers-Briggs scale. There's no, there's no there with that guy. If you look at his reaction in court and his behavior and the denial, again, I don't mean to be inappropriate, but I'm just telling you that was kind of what came back is where is that guy on the scale? Because, I don't know, it's just his nonverbal language and so on. Alex, come on up. And why don't you give us a conversation on DISC. Again, what I like to do, and I will do in the Pocket MBA program, is I've got 150 SMB SMEs. So Alex, we're not done with you after today, okay? We're just starting that party. Thank you, Alex Rogers. Introduce yourself and tell us about DISC.
Hi, I'm Alex. So, DISC, how many have taken it right now? Oh, awesome. So you guys got the D, the I, the S, the C. Basically, it's dominance, influence, steadiness, or compliance, right? So, think right offhand, where do you think a salesman sits? Yeah, if you had to pick one letter out of all of them. Dominant or influence? Right? What about a tech? You got dominance, influence, steady, compliance.
Is he a lead tech or is he a bomb tech?
You're going to see the C's, right? What'd you say?
If he's a lead tech, it's going to be dominant.
Absolutely, it could be, right? Or it could be an IC for like a sales engineer, right? Now, basically what DISC is, it's a summarized behavioral assessment test that is used to detail out your natural or adapted characteristics that you show in the home or workplace. Does that make sense? Now, the goal of an organization to use DISC is to match the job behavior needed, okay, with the natural behavior of the candidate or the employee. So if you get somebody that naturally likes to talk, okay, or naturally, right? Or better yet, naturally likes to count beans, right? Very analytical, very compliant, and you take them and you put them in a job where they have to get up and talk and not pay attention to detail, or there's always constant change, or so forth and so on, the harmony goes away. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Okay, now, we adopted DISC in 2007, I believe, with our organization. Took it ourselves, and basically it's like this, you get this report, and it's like an owner's manual, okay, for you. And if you take it, and you have any doubt, give it to your spouse. Your spouse is, look at everyone who's taking it, it's all, yeah. And then she's reading it, and she's going, oh yeah, this explains a lot. Oh yeah, right? And you'll go back and forth. Now, when we adopted this throughout our company, we made everybody take it. I say we made. We asked everybody to take it, okay? They all loved it. They all gave it to their spouses. We let their spouses take it. But what was so nice is we then put it on our internet or on our SharePoint and let everybody else read everybody's. Because the information on there is amazing. We're reading some things because you got to learn how to communicate with people, right? Some people, you'll look at it, it's like, hey, this guy needs 3 foot of space, right? And if I'm talking, I immediately just want to get right up here and just start talking and going like this, and I get all excited. Well, if you're talking to somebody who needs 3 foot of space, they're like, holy cow, slow down. Major, major difference. Now, when we did that, we started looking at some of our employees that were just kind of half-ass. You guys have those? Or is it just me? You get them, right? They kind of work, they kind of don't, they're kind of happy, they're kind of roller coaster. Some days they're good, some days they're not. And you look, and their natural behavior, okay, they're totally in an adapted behavior compared to what they're naturally good at in their job. For example, there's one thing on the disc, and I sent you an email with my disc. I don't know if you can get that on there or not. If you can, I mean, the internet here really sucks, but
I'll go offline. So
yeah, if you can bring it up. There's one thing on there that says frequent change. Okay, some people need frequent change.
You just said it.
What's that?
You just said it.
Yeah, just now.
Okay, I'll open it.
Oh, cool. Now, if you have let's just say you're advertising for, say, a warehouse position. Somebody that's taking gadgets and gadgets and putting them on the shelf every day, counting inventory, right? Handing things through the window, basically routine. But his disc is high on the frequent change level. He's going to do good probably for a month or two. You guys ever seen those guys that do real good and then all of a sudden they get bored? Right? But then on the other side of it, you get guys that don't like that frequent change. Okay? They're going to excel in a position like that. So it's really nice. What we do, when we interview somebody, first we see if we like them, right? The second interview, before they get the second interview, we send out that DISC assessment. And we see if that DISC profiles the job that we're interviewing for. Every single time we went against the DISC, we end up getting jacked. Like within a month or 2 months, without doubt, just it never works. We're like, yeah, but man, he had all the right answers, and this and this and this. Yeah, but look, the DISC says this. Nah, screw it. It's wrong this time. It never is. Never has been. Now, when we did that in our organization, this is what I was getting at.
Also, I'm sorry, the attachment didn't come through, or is it one of these images? My apologies.
Oh, that's okay. Let me, you know what, you guys ever notice that with the iPhone? Sometimes you forward things and the attachments don't come through? Why is that? Dude, the iPhones. It's, you know, as cool as it is, it's really a big pile of crap. It's a PDF. Here, let me do it again, Harry.
And Alex, we got about 4 minutes.
Okay, so All right, we'll try it one more time. There it is. So anyways, when we did that, we looked at these guys that were just kind of halfway doing their job, and then we related it with their disc, and we took them from this position, and we put them over here in this position. Superstar overnight. From that point on, we never, ever, ever, ever doubt the disc, and we never, ever, ever do not disc. Now, that whole disc thing, there's other tests like that too, where you can find out motivators, what motivates people. I was blown away to find out that not everybody's motivated by money. Who would have thought, right? And it makes sense, because always trying to motivate our technicians and bonusing them, the easiest thing to bonus technicians on that you can relate to is dollars, and same thing with salespeople. Well, salespeople are always motivated by money, that's why they're salespeople. But for technicians, you're like, okay, how much did you bill? If you bill this much, you know, you get to this much efficiency and you get to this, we're gonna bonus you an extra $500, another $800, or 20% or whatever. Somewhat okay. Basically, the only ones that capitalized on that bonus are the ones that just got lucky that month and just had good billing. But it wasn't because the bonus was in play. Now, we look at that, we found out the *1 motivator was education. People want to learn more. And then another one was, there's the, of course, save the earth type mentality. There's the time off, personal time off, stuff like that. And you start detailing your bonus plans towards the individual, okay? Absolutely amazing. You can see instant differences. Who wants to work for something that they really don't care about? It's weird. So did that come up? No?
But you know what? Maybe what we can do, can you weave this in a little bit to tomorrow's breakfast talk? Maybe we can pick up at that point. Alex, I apologize. It did not come back in.
Sorry.
So
anyways, hey, real quick, write this email down, because here's what I'm going to do. All right, my email address, Alex, A-L-E-X, @chartech.net. Okay? Send me an email and say, I want a free disc. I will send you a link to take the disc test. Okay?
There you go.
Or you give it to your right-hand man to take, or woman to take. Okay? And then engage us for questions after that. All right, is that cool?
Yep.
That deal? That's a $50 value. You're getting a $50 test from me for free.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks guys.
Thank you very much, Alex. As always.
welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Got about 3-4 minutes left, and that's okay, because we want to make sure you get to your lunch and check out the expo hall, and it's just a full day. Sales Max. Anyone use Sales Max? Okay. Introduce yourself to Sales Max. That's what we use currently. And a lot of these tests have common features, not surprisingly. So what it does for us, here's how I've used it. It's testing for the information presented on the lower right. What it's done for us is we make it part of the interview process. It's done two things. When you line up the different results, there's a couple bar graphs in particular, if you can imagine this. And I don't have the permission of the people who took the test to reveal that to you. Although we do give them the results of the test, so we are a pretty open-minded employer, because some employers will give you the test and not let you see the results and then use that to negotiate against you, right? So that's kind of weird. So we give you the test results, and if we don't hire you, God bless you, you can take those results and go find the right fit for you. Yes, sir, Michael?
Aren't there some states that that's not even legal, that you have to give it to them?
I do not know, but at least I know we're legal if that's the situation. So we give the results, and if we don't hire you and you move on, fantastic, good for me, good for you, and go find what you should do. Now here's what we see, two things. When you line it up like a Excel spreadsheet, multiple tiled, horizontal, it's just this moment of awakening when you go, man, I see how so Jim's a good prospector and Chris is a great closer. That's what we need. It's like baseball with pitchers. So we have the early inning guy and we have the closer guy. We have got to get them to work together. Jim, and those are the real names. Chris is here, and He'll bend your ear on his Sales Max test if you want to see it and talk about it. He'll love to chat it up with you. But the point is this, it's like a professional sports team. And you just go, man, that's the guy we need in the early innings, and that's the guy we need at the end of the game. And it's like pitching. And when you put it side by side, you see that. Jim came to us from Dex online, the Yellow Pages, and he was a machine. He was a machine. And then Chris is more, well, if you know Chris, let's just say Chris is more engaging, okay? So he's a good closer. And again, feel free to introduce yourself to him while you're here this weekend. That's what it did for us. The other thing is, to confirm what Alex said, is we discovered people aren't motivated by money all the time, and Chris said it best. Everybody has their number. Everybody has their number. So whatever that is, 100,000, that's your number. 150,000 compensation, that's your number. Once you hit your number, you're done. 250, 500, I'm talking annual salary, so not net worth. So 250 is a very handsome salary. 500 is, off the chart. So let's just keep it real. 100 for a salesman, 150. Once that individual hits 100, they're going fishing. They're taking that afternoon off to go golf. It's fine. We talk about work-life balance. We talk about this and that. That's fine, but everybody has their number. And that's what this test reveals. It doesn't reveal the exact number, but you see their motivations. They want respect. Like you said, they want education. They want recognition. They want this, that, or the other. They want credit. And some of the stuff is more valuable than monetary remuneration. So that's what those tests will result in. Now quickly, let me wrap on this. How do you ensure that you're at the table and that your advice is listened to? I'll take the first one, and I'll pick on a couple of my go-tos since we're down to 2 minutes. Rayanne, I will call you on 2, and Michael, let's go in and I'll pick you on number 3. Okay, so we'll just knock these out real quick. Number 1, how do you ensure that the table and your advice is listened to? Here's my philosophy. I don't know if it's right, but what we wove it into the Pocket MBA program, and it's simply this. I've told you about 5 things that MBA programs sell: alumni association, this, that, and the other. One thing they're selling, and it's very effective with the foreign population, is they're teaching you table talk. They're teaching you to be fluent in business. And this is why you may not need a real MBA, okay? If you come from a privileged family, this is one example. There's other ways to learn American business, but I'll give you the quick answer that I believe. If you come from a privileged family and your mom or dad were in business, and at dinner you overheard that table talk from the time you were born to the time you were 18, and your parents had parties with executives and people who came over, you're absorbing that culture. And what do you know? You can confidently go into a business meeting and not be intimidated by the owner of a small business. And you also speak that dialect, okay? If you believe India has 37 dialects and languages and so on, I'd say in America we probably have 4 or 5. I mean, there's definitely some accents in our country. And I speak Alaskan, by the way, especially late at night. So that is a foreign language amongst the South. Yeah, I'll take another. That's Alaskan. But you have to be able to, you have to be able to relate culturally. So that's my long answer on how to be invited to the table and make sure your advice is listened to. And I'm going to hedge on that it's table talk. So Rayanne, fastest 2 minutes in sports, if you want to maybe take on number 2, and then Michael, the same for 3, and we'll call it good, folks, and get you over to lunch, and see you on the flip side.
I'll be real quick about this. Okay, so what would be the benefits if my clients came to me first instead of only after things started heading in the wrong direction? Well, if they came to me first and they said, I'm thinking about doing X, Y, and Z, and I already know because I've had other clients that tried X, Y, and Z, that it doesn't work. And maybe I could help them, either plan it better or work a little closer, maybe change some of their direction, or even just help them think about things that they had not thought of before.
If you want to hand off to Michael. Michael, come on up.
Okay, so I'd say since I'm an owner and sales guy by trade, I'd say understand your client, understand the prospect before you start talking tech. And I think if I'm understanding this right, that's what you want. So understand them first, understand what their pains are, understand what their issues are, then figure out how the tech rolls into it. Don't just start talking tech talk all day because they may not even understand it. Because when you're sitting down with potential clients, potential prospects, most of them probably are business people. So they need to understand the business case first. Why is that technology going to help me? And move from there.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So folks, thank you very much. This was a 1-hour in-person edition of what's a 2-week class with the Pocket MBA program. So I appreciate you coming. Please fill out your evaluation forms. That's definitely part of the academic community, is the evaluation process. I welcome your direct and honest feedback, absolutely. If you'd like to follow up, by all means, put your name and phone number or email address on. And, you know, that's the cool thing about the academic community. There's a thing called tenure, and I can't be fired now. And we'll leave it on that note. So enjoy lunch across the hall. We'll see you over at the expo. Thank you very much.